Perfect. As far as like innovation goes here at KLIM, you guys are pretty. I guess I would describe it as kind of leading the innovation as far as mountain technical riding goes. As far as high end gear and equipment, would have been some of the cool innovation things that maybe us on the outside don't get to see, but you being on the other side of the curtain, you get to see and can share with us.
Sure. I think early on it was the adrenaline boot.
Yeah.
That's just from looking at the numbers, that's the most popular boot in the industry, the best selling boot in the industry, and it has been for years.
Yeah.
And lots of people have recognized that and tried to make something that's similar, or it's been copied. It's been, and it's just the adrenaline boot has become the staple for the snowmobile boot in the industry.
Yeah. What was kind of what was available at the time, and then
Sorels. Like basically snowboard boots. Snowboard boots, I think, was actually what the aggressive people were wearing.
Yeah.
But the Gore-Tex, Gore-Tex was kind of the technology, the driver, the sole that we developed for snowmobile running boards. Nobody had really done that before. And so there was a specific boot built to keep you dry, keep you warm, withstand within reason, the running board abuse.
Yeah.
So that was one of them.
And with that boot, when did you guys introduce the BOA technology? Because that wasn't something that, that was,
it'd been around
with
like
snowboarding, but not in the snowmobiling industry. Was that something that came, I'm just trying to think when my first boot was. It was probably 16, 17,
yeah,
I don't know, maybe
we've
back
had
then.
it for, I would say, 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
We've actually been playing with it for a long time. We'd played with it clear back, almost 15 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
But the durability wasn't quite what we wanted, and so it took some time to get it a little more applicable for our application.
Yep.
And we could see the demand. There was definitely an opportunity for it there from a convenience standpoint. And so once we kind of found that we could make it more durable, or they had a product that was the BOA brand specifically that would work for us, then we came out with it.
Cool.
So
the adrenaline boot, one of the most significant things that you've seen come through the product line over the last decade. What are some cool things that maybe you have cooking? You guys got cooking here?
Yeah, there's something that it should be out by the time this is broadcast.
We'll have to make sure.
We have a new heated goggle.
Oh, cool.
And heated goggles aren't necessarily new, but the way we're going about it is a little different.
Yeah.
And it's been in the works for 6 years.
Okay.
So we've been playing with some ideas. We really wanted to take the concept of the heated goggle and then refine it.
Yep.
Better battery life, more consistent heat across the lens. That was the biggest efficiency that we were seeing, was there was just really inconsistent heat across the lens. The ability to control the heat. So the functions that we have built into the goggles, there's 3 different functions, and you can make the heat come on all the time. There's a moisture sensor in it, so you can make it automatic.
Oh, wow.
And then we have a remote, so you can control it from your pocket or your battery if you want to. And then we have it so you can take the battery off the side of the goggle and put it in your pocket, and there's a cable that'll go down to the battery.
Oh.
So you can get the weight off your helmet if you want.
And because that battery is known to swipe a few branches and then just break right off, right? Because it just sticks out.
Yeah, and
out there.
I mean, the durability, that was one of the aspects that we really focused on, and our durability, I believe, is quite a bit better than what's out there. And so I think that'll be less of a concern. But the weight, like we had a bunch of Iron Dog guys testing this for a couple of years, and they'll run 1,000 miles a weekend, and they notice the weight. So getting that off the helmet, so that's an option. You'll be able to plug it into a 12-volt source if you want, like a boost pack, a battery pack, plug it into your sled if you want.
Yep.
So it's really versatile goggle. And then it's got the widest field of vision of any heated goggle.
Oh, nice.
We got a ton of lens options. So we took what everybody kind of had introduced. We're not saying we're the first, we're by no means the first to have a heated goggle, but we took it and refined it into a package with more options, better durability, more field of vision, better heat saturation. Just make a better product, right?
So with that heated lens and the ability to remove or reposition where the battery is, does that, I still have the ability, if I don't want to run heat, that battery is off, the weight is off my head, the battery is concealed, so I don't have to worry about, banging.
It's a regular goggle.
Regular goggle.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. And then the way we're attaching the lens, the lens is a quick release. And it's also, we'll have some with HD.
Oh.
So they're high-end lenses. Yeah. So it's a pretty cool, like I said, we've been playing with it for 5 years, had tons of versions. Early ones were clunky, battery life wasn't great. I mean, we've had to refine the firmware, the software, all the hardware. We've had to beef some things up, wires that didn't last, and the iron dog guys in the super cold conditions could get them to fail, and so we found those failure points. So we've really put them through their paces. It's been fun to watch the project from what we started with to what we have now.
Yeah.
And even so we're what's July right now.
Yep.
They're actually being built at the factory right now, and the first ones that came off the line, even those, they're headed to Chile to do final durability testing just to make sure that what's coming off the line is still
still dialed.
Yeah. So big project.
Yeah.
A lot of effort.
I always wonder, because when you come out and create something new, naturally you want to tell the world immediately. How does KLIM conceal that when you guys are 5-6 years out with development?
It's hard.
How do you guys keep that stuff to yourself?
It's challenging, and we're testing it too, right? So I have my group of guys, and I might be wearing a prototype something, and I'm like, hey, sorry to be the Debbie Downer, no pictures today.
Yeah.
I mean, guys want to remember the ride. We take pictures and posts and things like that. So I'm either taking my jacket off or my backpack or whatever it is I'm wearing, hiding it behind a sled so we can take pictures, or I'm having to step out of the photo, or I'm the one taking the photo. So there's challenges that go along with that. But the stoke level is always high.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's challenging.
And it's fun to be a part of that. The growth, I think, it brings to a company excitement for the future. If you're always, tinkering and coming up with new stuff for the industry that you're serving. So,
well, the cool thing about, I'm not saying we're the only company that's this way, but I think it's maybe in the minority. Most of us ride, and we want better products for us.
Yeah.
So most of what we develop, it's stuff that we feel like it's going to make our experience better, and the general public gets the advantage of that too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a business, so you have to drive and pursue new ideas and improving that product. But I'm selfish. I want it for me.
Yeah.
And so we're always trying stuff that's just stuff that we're thinking about that we want. And then what the consumers and the general public don't see is the failures.
Yeah.
They don't see the ideas that didn't end up being a very good idea, or the stuff that failed and we had to refine it. And so I think a lot of times sometimes they may not appreciate what the end product is, and they'll be a little bit critical. It's well, you didn't see the 4 years of that it took to get to this point.
Yeah.
Not that everything we have is perfect, but I mean, there's a lot of personal investment into those products because at the end of the day, I'm using it and I want it to be good and I don't want it to fail. I want, and so that's the part that the consumers and the general public don't see.
Yeah. And when you're sort of leading the charge on that innovation, I think from a consumer side, you got to be able to recognize that and say, hey, these guys are actually out here trying to create cool new stuff. It may not be perfect. The goal is to get to perfect, but maybe perfect is the second or third year after it's been launched. It's still a phenomenal piece of product, but being able to always tweak and improve upon what is launched is key for business. And I think some people just, especially if, I get it if you're paying 23, 24, K for a new sled, everyone wants that to be, pretty flawless. But at the same time, it's like, if they're trying new things, like maybe have just a little bit of patience there and work through things. But
well, there's so much technology nowadays, it's gotten to the point where it's really hard to develop.
Yeah.
Because it's so complicated.
Yeah.
But for us, I think what we do is we say, okay, there's this fit for use concept. Like, what's the end use going to be? Is it going to work specifically for that? Are other people going to buy it for other things? Yeah, but does it mean that's what we designed it for? No. Are there some trade-offs or some compromises that happen there? Absolutely. And people forget that sometimes. They're like, well, that's not exactly what it was designed for. They think we just designed it and put it out there and it's going to work for everything, and that's not always the case.
Yeah.
And so that perspective kind of needs to be understood. But then also there's this fact of, like, if we tried to develop everything perfect, we'd never come out with
anything.
You'd never get anything out.
Yeah.
So you have to draw this line. It's like, yeah, we know there might be some opportunity to refine it a little bit, but this is a good product.
Yeah.
And it does what we want it to do. We very rarely have to say, well, I'm not even sure if we ever really have had to say, well, it's good enough. I don't think we've ever really said that.
Yeah.
It's more like, this meets the standard that we've set.
Yep.
And in 3 years, we're going to work on a revision or whatever, and then and we continue to refine and make it a little better, a little better, a little better. But for the most part, we won't come out with something until it hits this certain standard.
Yep.
And we've killed projects. Like, there's been plenty of projects that never came out because we just couldn't get it there.
Yeah.
It just, for whatever reason, the technology wasn't there, the base fabrics weren't there, the materials just weren't quite ready, and then we have to go figure out how to develop those materials.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this the term 80% and done and finished is better than 100% and never completed, right?
In some cases, yeah.
Yeah, and 80% could just mean we know the what this thing's going to look like eventually. We're pretty dang perfect on this 80%, so we're going to send it.
Yeah, it's not about settling, it's about hitting that performance aspect, the standard.
Yep.
Getting to that point.
Awesome. So as far as like numbers go and general growth of KLIM, I mean, it's been, a decade, like we said, plus for you. Countries that KLIM's in, growth of the company, total, the amount of SKUs you guys offer. Like what can you address?
Just like the timeline.
The timeline, yeah. Like,
well, the cool thing is, started here in Rigby.
Yep.
I mean, Justin, country kid, farm kid, just like a lot of us that are here, started with zero. I mean, nothing. Like, he tells a story about how he was going to college and didn't have any money, and they were going out in the ditch bank and cutting asparagus for dinner.
Wow.
Like when they were first married, trying to start the company. I mean, literally started with nothing.
Sheesh.
The coolest story. And he took it to a $100 million company. And we won't get into specifics, but he took it to a $100 million company. That's a pretty cool accomplishment.
That's wild.
Idaho. Yeah.
And most of that, would you say, came by? I mean, I guess nowadays your KLIM's business is roughly 50 split, kind of evenly.
It's pretty even right now. Yeah. I think I could see motorcycle surpassing snow just because it's a bigger market.
Bigger market, yeah. Time frame to. Most states you can do it year round. So.
Exactly. Yep. And if you look at through the whole world, I mean, the snowmobile industry is pretty small.
Yeah.
You go to Europe, I mean, there's motorcycles everywhere.
Yep.
You go to Asia, there's motorcycles everywhere. Now, is that our clientele? Well, most of them are probably not a premium buyer. But I mean, the growth, the opportunity for growth in motorcycle is huge.
Yeah.
And we've just started to scratch the surface.
Nice.
So.
Cool. I think we've done a pretty good job of going through the list of like KLIM in a nutshell in the last decade since you've been involved with the company. Why don't we jump over to
the no-nos?
The no-nos.
Yeah.